Welcome to this ISV Spotlight. My name is Sam Johnson with Paytrace. I am a sales trainer, and with us today is one of our newest technology integration partners, a group called Everyware. And here speaking with us today is their founder, Larry Talley. Welcome, Larry.
Hey, Sam. Great to be here. Thanks for having Everywhere here as a Spotlight company.
I am really stoked to have you guys on this today because you're really filling a pretty big gap that I think Paytrace has had for a while. I get this question all the time, but people are always saying, do you guys have a text-to-pay solution? How do I email an invoice via text message? And I'm like, well, we can kind of make a workaround, but that's something that you guys are really good at. So I'm really stoked to have this here today because I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about some of the technologies that you'll be sharing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's great to be here, and it's great to see this technology really starting to, find its way out in the marketplace.
So, tell me, Larry, I guess let's just get right into it. For folks that maybe aren't familiar with you or your company, what tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So myself, I've been a programmer for about 20 years, originally developed software in the military, and then later on in life started a company developing software to really help, the largest hotel brands, really big, these guys really efficient. And you can see in the hospitality space, how important it is to have a good communication with your guests. And for me, it was about, welcome you to the Hilton hotels, let you know what time check-in was, but ultimately using text messaging to drive new revenue, right? Not relying on the front desk and really solve a lot of problems in 140 characters or less. And me not being a payments guy at that time, I was working in an industry that was considered high risk, travel. And I felt like travel, man, that's probably one of the most low risk industries to be in. It's fun, right? But ultimately in the payment space, man, it had a bad rap. So not really realizing it, not only were we helping guests, find their way, but ultimately we're helping, the largest hotel resorts in the world minimize chargebacks, refunds, cancellations, and all the great things that you can do with the power of a text message in 140 characters or less.
That's so cool. I love it. I love seeing the growth of technology and some of the cool stuff that we can do. And it's awesome to hear that your company's grown and developed with that. Before we start getting really in depth in what you guys do, I did want to just set a quick agenda here for our audience. Guys, this is meant to be a little bit of an interactive, engaging type of presentation. So if you have questions, comments, emotional outbursts throughout this, please, this is your time to ask them. We've got the Everywhere team, we've got the Paytrace team on here today monitoring the Q&A box. So if you wiggle your mouse around on the Zoom window, you should see that Q&A down at the bottom. Click on that. Send us in any questions throughout this presentation. We're going to show out some time. Larry's got a really cool presentation. We're going to look at a demo. Lots of good stuff coming in here. So don't be shy. The earlier you get your questions in, the more likely they will be answered. But I do want to say anything that isn't answered on today's live call, we will be following up and sharing these out with the Everywhere team as well. So, Mr. Talley, I first saw your demo just a couple days ago, and not gonna lie, I was pretty blown away. So I'm pretty excited. I can't wait for you to share this out with all of our audience here. Would you mind kind of sharing a little bit about Everywhere? I know you've got a presentation built out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So with a name like Everywhere, we weren't being vertical specific. We really wanted to develop a system that really could truly work everywhere. I mean, pay by text, and it sucks that, throughout COVID, a lot of businesses got hurt by it, but being able to be that contactless, that touchless, being able to be a solution that enable these businesses to collect, and better yet, collect even faster, because now that text messaging has really become the preferred method of communication. Well, man, that just text beats, sending somebody a letter in the mail, So if you're a large healthcare provider, or you're a service provider, or somebody that traditionally relied on sending somebody an invoice for like net 30, and, easily for medical bills to become net 90, you know what I mean? Because nobody likes paying something where you got to log into a portal or, mail in a check. But being able to just make it really super convenient, for someone. And that's ultimately, going to be around long after COVID. We're all about convenience, and that's what we do. Everywhere it basically enables platforms and companies to provide a new way to collect and do it in a way that's really convenient for both the business and the consumer.
Absolutely. And I want to say, we brought this webinar in as really setting this up as a text to pay solution. And that's what initially I thought you guys did. But after seeing everything that Everywhere is capable of, that's just scratching the surface. I mean, what you're going to share with us today, I think really, right, it covers text to pay and it covers a lot of these e-invoicing technologies, but it's so much more than that. It's consumer engagement. It's building loyalty. It's really building up a brand for business. It's, we think of text to pay as just kind of a solution, but this is really going to be a huge package. So I'm excited. Let's dive right into it.
All right, let's go. We got to share my screen here.
Perfect.
I just give everyone a really quick overview of what you guys are going to really seeing here today. For the most part, we're going to focus in on the features, really what makes up Everywhere, the differentiators there, and then really focus in on the target verticals that we're after, the types of merchants, really how it benefits those merchants, and ultimately, as an agent, how does it benefit you? How does it benefit you from being an application where you can go back to your back book, right? I mean, the customers that have been with you for a very long time that need a solution like this. Now you have another good reason to pick up the phone. To talk through some of those integration options, how we basically connect with Paytrace to make it really easy for somebody that's an existing Paytrace customer, really to be up and running pretty fast. And then also ultimately, as an agent, how do you get paid? Really break down those economics and show you that, really Everywhere can add 100% margin and really not take away from your transactional, your volume or anything like that. It's a SaaS play. And then just really walking through, the process in general, so how to really, how do you board your customers and what does that, that sales process, look like? And then thanks, Sam. A big part about Everywhere, again, maybe it's just my hospitality background, working in for resorts for so long. You hear this word engagement. And for us, in the hospitality world, it was all about, guest engagement, yield management. And if you're in, healthcare, it's all about, patient management, or for general businesses, customer engagement. So being able to provide a platform, like dubbed a new word, which is payments engagement. What is payments engagement? Well, payments engagement for us is, it's not that somebody can't afford to pay their bills, but maybe they need a little bit more time. So give them the flexibility or the ability to text back anything they like, tied to a pay by text transaction, and not a typical short code, man. We all receive those short codes. And we also know that, our brains are trained that when we see a short code, we can't respond back to it, or it's a robotic, text message where it's just, a simple reply 1 or 2. But like, hey man, I got a question. And the last thing I want to do is pick up the phone because I'm in a meeting and talk to someone. But if I can just text back, so being able to provide a platform that enables these businesses and the consumers to really communicate on their own time. Because it's not a live chat. And if we were stuck in a live chat, we would basically both be responsible for communicating in real time. With a text message, you'll find that it's socially acceptable, right? Just like we, live our daily lives today. My wife will text me, 10 minutes and I might text back 3 hours later. And normally she's not too pissed off at me, but, ultimately it provides that level of a convenience where you can basically communicate on your own time. So really, we're going to break down what payments engagement looks like as we go out throughout the features that make up Everywhere. All right. So I know there's a lot here, and I'm not going to go through everything into too much detail, but obviously it's a very robust system that not only basically provides that pay by text solution, but gives them the ability to provide customized, personalized communication based on your own time. So what does that mean? That you can schedule a messaging to go out. You can basically tag your customers and segment them so all the late delinquent ones, or the ones that are your VIP, your loyalty customers, the ones that basically love you, that provide referrals. So being able to tie into Paytrace and provide reoccurring payments, connect it with an appointment scheduler. And really helping the businesses themselves, really transact and think differently about a payment transaction, right? It's a new type of terminal, right? And it's not a terminal that, it's not like a dumb terminal, it's a terminal that basically really has a voice, not in essence of, maybe it's silent because it's a text message, but in other words, it's another communication system. In fact, it's the preferred communication in really all of our lives, right? So we'll break down these and come back to the, what makes up the features here. But as you can see here, it's very robust. It provides a lot of value. And for the most part about it, not only is it helping companies generate new revenue, but it's really helping protect accounts. And man, we all know that in our portfolios today, we have some of those risky accounts where it's great to have another layer, right? And this also gives underwriting another layer of transparency, because you're going to see not only do you have a text message, but ultimately you have a conversation that works both ways. You'll know if this business is shady, if their customers are constantly, texting and complaining. So it's great to help reduce those chargebacks and really, mitigate that risk. The types of merchants that you're going to see that we go after, and man, healthcare is such a big vertical, but it felt great throughout COVID to be that solution that was able to, reduce the amount of paper mail. And we found that a lot of companies, man, they're just not going back to the traditional way of doing things. They're not going to send out paper because they have such high success rate with collecting through text messaging. So anything from pharmacies where they'll remind you, when to pick up your medication, but better yet, you can pay now for that medication. And what's great about it, is once that card is tokenized and stored on file, you don't even have to even click a payment link. You can literally just reply yes, and your card can get charged on file. So making it really that much more convenient to transact. So if you think about healthcare, and you're thinking about from anything from veterinary clinics to specialty cares, it's an amazing tool that really help these different practices out. From membership organizations to collecting recurring payments, being able to just go to your local gym and pay with your mobile phone number. Pretty amazing. I mean, we all hate walking around the gym with credit cards in our pocket, but being able to walk up to the smoothie booth and being able to just pay with your phone number. But better yet, being able to, update that card on file in real time when it's expired or something's changed is even better for these gyms and organizations, right? So in other words, traditionally, if a card was, didn't decline or couldn't be updated through an account updater tool, now you got to call this person and ask them for a new credit card, or you email them. But if the system automatically triggers a text message, you can collect that credit card really and get that account back up to date within seconds. It was also great to see how these nonprofits, right? We've all probably now heard about text to give, with the Everyware platform. What you're really going to see what's unique about us, again, if somebody that basically tithe or gives to their favorite charity frequently, it's that much easier to just text the word given, and then your credit card on file gets automatically charged. So it was also really great to see how the government is starting to really endorse applications like this. So think about from traffic tickets to court fees and fines to anything from property taxes even. They're all now being collected through solutions like Everyware, where you can actually collect, get pulled over from a police officer, and you have 3 or 4 different ways traditionally to make a payment. Well, now you have a new way and even a better way. And that's why you're hearing, more and more, police asking, for a mobile number, because they know exactly how they're going to get a hold of you to pay that ticket or that fine now.
Yeah, you can you can pay that ticket as you're driving away from the police officer too, right?
That's it, and they maybe even give you a 10% discount if you pay now. Right? So, there's a lot of different use cases. It's exciting to see all the different use cases, from restaurants to curbside to delivery. You guys are experiencing these use cases yourself. You're going to get an opportunity here with a live demo to really see them in action. And, from field services to automotive to my favorite in travel and hospitality. I mean, there's so much more, but ultimately these are like the verticals that we like to, call out.
And I really like this slide, Larry, because it shows a lot of crossover, especially with the Paytrace types of merchants that we see. We see a lot of B2B, with how we handle our interchange optimization. And I think it's also worth calling out, right, that
Absolutely
integrating with Paytrace and Everywhere still provides the interchange optimization. Bright Healthcare. You mentioned field technicians, right? So anybody coming out to a business complex, doing some work, servicing, they can just send over a quick text message and collect payment that quickly. There's so much value built into this solution. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, because obviously into the future, we see that, terminals are going away. I mean, everyone's walking around with a terminal in their hands these days. So being able to really be not only cardless, where you don't have to carry plastic anymore, but hey, if you forget your wallet at home, being able to just pay with your mobile number. I mean, our cell phone today, that's our two-factor authentication, right? I mean, if I lose my password for my bank account, they text me a code, right? So it's just much more convenient for us, not to have to carry around all the different plastic cards these days, and being able to, really transact on our own devices.
Yeah. Well, a few times ago we spoke. You mentioned the 4 C's. What were those again?
Oh, the 4 C's. Yeah, and you probably stumped me right here because I
want to say it was cardless, cashless.
Contactless, cashless, and really it's the 4 C and the ultimate C, which is convenience.
Right. You called it out. We're seeing a big pivot in the industry, especially with COVID hitting, where a lot of people are moving away from, in-person contact forms of payment. This is kind of more of the MO right now for a lot of consumers, businesses. Everybody that's making payments is going more towards these contactless forms of payment. And I think this is where you guys capture a lot of that value, is just the convenience of it. The fact that anybody can pay it from any device. I mean, this is literally the future. This is getting ahead of the game. So, sorry to interrupt you there, Larry.
No, that's great. And partnering up with Paytrace, where you guys are able to help reduce some of the interchange costs, all the payments still flow the same way. So if you're using Paytrace today and the payments are flowing the way they flow today, with Everywhere, we're added value to that solution. They're going to continue to flow exactly the same way that they flow today with, getting up and running in a platform, with Everywhere and Paytrace together. And honestly, it takes, minutes, not days or hours to get going.
Right.
Ultimately for the merchant, like we talked about those C's, right? The contactless, the cardless, being able to provide that convenient, payment method, so you're going to see more and more, text us, right? And not only is it text us to pay your bill, but it's text us, just to, ask a question, telemedicine, telehealth. For the most part, I'll probably never have to walk into a doctor's office again if I can just simply communicate over my device, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to, to have that ability, and to be able to provide this for their merchants, man, this is like added value, so there's some really cool things that we're doing for merchants. In this case, being able to provide a HIPAA compliant, a PCI compliant. We're also now, as of actually today, we just got our SOC 2 certificate. It actually just came in this morning. So, being SOC 2 on top of it, again, it just adds that additional layer of trust and security with a solution like us. So, and ultimately, you're going to find that a solution like this is going to generate incremental more revenue for the businesses. They're going to get paid faster. So there's just a lot of plus and pluses. And ultimately, why not? Like, why not, accept payments this way? You know what I mean? So it's also, you're going to find, which has been tremendous, is it just reduces the amount of bad reviews. It's just that, by having a quick way to text, you're able to mitigate risk, prevent somebody going online, that's posting something negative about their restaurant because maybe the waiter had a bad day or the chef, had a bad day. We all have bad days. So being able to, understand your audience and being able to, provide a tool like this that really helps mitigate. And then ultimately, you're gonna have much loyal customers. So pretty powerful. As an agent, man, you now have something to leave behind immediately. I mean, it takes sometimes a little bit to get a merchant account up and running. With Everywhere, you're going to see how quickly, and I'll do it here in a live demonstration, that you can select any business, spin up an Everywhere account within seconds, and they can leave. You can leave there and they can have access to two-way text messaging while they're waiting for their merchant account to get approved. So really making it really slick as an agent to basically have a great leave behind when you're leaving there, because we all know how challenging it can be, not only to compete for the business to get a merchant account, but ultimately to make it stick, right? And with the relationship that we have with Paytrace, this number sticks with their merchant account. In other words, if they try to take that merchant account and go somewhere else, well, guess what? They can't move that phone number. And that phone number, all their customers have. So it gives you another layer of stickiness as an agent. So again, you're going to see very, very high retention. And again, a lot of that retention comes down to providing that mobile number, seeing those conversations take place, and that merchant knowing that that number belongs to their merchant account. So, ultimately, it's a great win-win for the merchant and really for the sales agent. And it's a great way for you to kind of always take a sneak peek and see your customers and see how they're communicating. So lots of benefits, not only for the merchant, but as you can see here, for the agents. And being able to get up and running, so you'll see from, out of the box, solution where, quickly within, minutes, potentially even seconds, you can have an account set up. But just know that if there's a white label solution, or you want a solution that's embedded within another portal to make it, seamless. So in other words, you only log into the existing portal. You don't have to log in everywhere. So we can basically make it so that this system itself is totally behind the scenes. And whether that's only using the APIs, or whether it's, a semi-integrated approach where you're using a combination of our iframe technology in combination.
With Paytrace, and you had mentioned this early, Larry, that there's a recurring feature, right, within Paytrace. And let's say that somebody's using Paytrace for a recurring payment. Do you have the ability with Everywhere to set up any sort of text reminders, or is there any of that technology built into that?
Yeah, no, great question. And yeah, no, absolutely. Because, chances are they might be driving when they get their first text message. And then just like all of us, text messages stack up on our cell phones. So our system, whether it's you want our text reminder to go out 2 hours later or 2 weeks later, we give you that configuration and that control on your own. And you can control it in our APIs. You can control it directly utilizing our portal. But being able to remind someone, 2 or 3 times. And we find that actually, every time we remind someone, 30% pay. So it's pretty high numbers. In other words, we'll send out a campaign to 1,000, individuals. 30% are going to pay right out of the gate for the first text message. And then, a week later, they'll get a reminder, and then the other 30% will pay. So it's pretty cool statistics on the numbers that actually, pay from those reminders.
Absolutely. I know I'm part of that statistic. And I don't go by the paper bills very often. I see them and they just get filed away into a little box in my kitchen. But when I get it on my phone, those get responded to almost immediately. I think the integration question that stoked a lot of interest. I'm getting a ton of questions about specific integrations. Larry, if our partners were looking for something that Everywhere integrates to, where would be the best place to find that information?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I know that Weston Bruce right here is on the call as well. For the most part, I'd probably set up an email where they can just email us. I think we even have like paytrace@everywhere.com. I think we even had that email set up. So, and we'll share our contact information. But just email us and we'll let you know whether or not, we're integrated. Some of our integrations, some of our clients, have a hand in, what I mean? So we have some exclusivity in some of these interfaces. But, ultimately, again, we'll work with you and let you know if we're integrated already with that solution that you're looking for.
Love it. I think we'll maybe take one more question, and team, like I mentioned, if you haven't had your question answered by somebody already, we'll make sure that we follow up. The last one that I wanted to tackle, and this one came in early from Noel, and it has to do with white labeling. And I think there's a few different ways that you can tackle this answer, if it's like a merchant white label or ISO white label. But I think we just saw on the demo, right, that the merchant will be able to white label your solution to an extent. Do you offer any agent white labeling or partner white labeling, things like that?
We do, absolutely. So for our partners, we offer the same ability that we offer to our merchants, the ability to really make it your own. So if you want to have your name on it, and versus Everywhere, like I said, we're really behind the scenes technology. So for us, we're not so concerned about getting our brand out there. Work either way.
Thanks again for checking out this ISV Spotlight. Don't forget to check out some of the other ISV partners on Paytrace's website. It's yet another way that we're making merchants happy.